this is the week of the one-sided games, I
Yeah,
guess.
it actually kind of
There's
is.
just been so many that teams have just been completely shut out this week, and they just haven't been able to do anything. It's crazy.
Yeah, it looked really good there for Excel. But now we have to look at our next game. It's going to be MnM versus Nvision. Now, Nvision, last time they played versus Excel, they actually had a really solid start versus MnM, but MnM were able to pull it back. So before we jump into that, let's have a little look at our MVP coming out of that last game, which was Kasing, the support for Excel. I think it's actually kind of hard to pick who takes MVP because everybody won their role. Like there wasn't a support for support, AD carry, mid, jungle, top. Like every role just went right.
For me, it's a really tough decision between Kasing and Taxa, but Kasing enabling the Yasuo in the early stages of the game, and Taxa was kind of like a second support in that lane. It was just tri-laning, really, just shoving the Enclave bot lane away from their tower and putting so much pressure down on them. But Kasing finding those engages, getting in with the Q flashes and enabling Exile to start taking over in the fights and get rolling to the point where he was, 3.5k ahead at like 15 minutes?
It was
gross.
It was rough. I think we just put that game to bed. Unfortunately, Enclave, there's been some signs of life with them. A team like XL just proved to be kind of a hill too steep for them to climb today. So we now look at our next game, which is going to be MnM taking on Nvision. Now, like I was saying, just before we got into the MVP, last time they matched up, it was a good start for Nvision, but MnM were able to pull it back. And MnM, they've been looking consistent across the entirety of the split so far.
Yeah, they really have, and particularly towards the early stages of the game, they've looked incredibly dominant. They have had a couple of hiccups towards the later stages, but I mean, Nvision yesterday looked really good early as well.
I believe we actually have a little tweet to bring up. Have a little talk about that. Vodio's the official cereal of the UKLC. I had very little sleep last night. I don't know why I always say Vodios instead VODs and videos when I'm talking about the YouTube channel. For anyone who doesn't get what the hell that joke means, sorry, dude.
Nice.
Although Vodios do sound pretty tasty. Like, all right, what do you expect Vodios to be? I feel like to me there'd be like some marshmallow chocolatey thing.
I think it would be similar to like, Lucky Charms or like those Rice Krispie shapes where there's just random stuff thrown in. So it's like you'd get some
like
Vodios.
a Malphite punching a Nexus.
Yeah, you'd get like a backdoor flavor. You'd have like a one-sided stomp flavor.
All right. What would be the little toy you get in it? I know you can't have this anymore because some kid choked on one, but like... What would be the toy you get in your cereal?
Well, if kids are choking on them, it's got to be XL because they choke a lot, right? Against Fnatic.
I love you. That was real good. Well done. You win that one today. All right, let's look at this next game because Nvision, they have to get something big coming here because they're still struggling in the points tables. They want to stay clear of that relegation zone, but we're gonna have a little look at who is going to be on the Nvision lineup, who'll be starting up on that blue side. Starting in the top lane, Borrelia, Infinity in the jungle, Sunder in the mid lane, Spark, ADC, and Proper Panda as support.
And looking to increase the gap between them and the middle of the pack teams, we have MnM Gaming, which is
not this team currently on your screen.
The other one with only Angel in the top lane when we get there. Nulty in the jungle?
Yeah, you are right. I'm saying I know it.
Nulty, Chibs in mid. No pentakills though. Yusa on AD carry. The reason for no pentakills. And Shogun on support.
God, imagine dragging Yusa like through the split and then he steals your penta. Right, in like... Oh man. And like you were saying, when we spoke to Nulty was like, nah, I was calling to steal it. Yusa said, give it to him, and then Yusa stole it. That's like bringing someone's hopes up and then just dashing them at the last second.
How it goes times.
Well, our matchup to watch is going to actually be our jungler, Nulty versus Infinity. Infinity on the Carthus yesterday was terrifying. He did that face and floated towards people with the Requiem on. Not the Requiem, the...
File.
What? The File, thank you. I forgot the name of it there.
Yeah. Stone Cold Killer, Infinity in the jungle. Just something about the look in his eyes in that picture is just...
And he was a Stone Cold Killer yesterday.
He seriously was. He just strolled into people's lanes, wall of pain, and they were done for.
I wonder if we're going to see the Aurelia, I don't think we're going to see the Aurelia. I assume that's going to ban. I assume the Akali's going to get banned because giving MnM, Akali, and Aurelia first rotation was straight up the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But I do reckon the Carthus is also going to be a ban. I feel Nulty has been looking better in the later weeks of the UKLC. His early start was hard to watch at best of times. And His spring split wasn't that great, but he has been on the up recently. But I do feel like the likes of Infinity's Karthus might be something that could undo him.
Yeah, I think a lot of the story of the season so far is early aggression in the games, whether that results in wins or not, or whether there's problems in shot calling to the later stages. Teams tend to have a bit of a habit of getting themselves ahead, and MnM is definitely a contender for that. But Nvision kind of put their name forward as well in that category yesterday, and I'm actually wondering whether or not we're going to see the Yorick see any attention again in the draft phase, because Brelia, that was like far and away the best he's looked so far, just completely smashing out in the top lane.
What about the Malphite? That's the key one.
That one.
What about the Malphite?
That was, where I say the latter stages and questionable decisions, like backdooring as Malphite while the rest of your team is dying. I mean, it worked, but should it have worked? No. No,
it shouldn't have. I mean, also, should he have been pushing a Nexus turret at 16 minutes on Yorick? No, but here we are. Borrelia is he's a bag of wonders, this
guy.
He's
just a bad boy. He throws rules out the window and does what he wants.
He's really fun to watch. He's really fun to watch. And we had the comparison yesterday about how he was basically what old Kerberos was like 2-3 years ago. Like a wacky champ pool, a crazy play for yourself play style. And he proved it. He literally proved it yesterday. He just played for himself, just started slapping people with a shovel, then walked into the base and started digging a hole for you there. Was shut down by the old Ketchup King. Yeah. Vladimir. I picture he's not a Bloodmancer. He's a Ketchup Mancer. I actually hate ketchup. You don't like ketchup?
No.
What is your condiment of choice?
Ooh. Now, I'm a spicy boy.
All right.
So it's a toss-up between buffalo and sriracha.
Oh, okay.
There's cultured is what they call me.
I like spice. I feel ketchup is like the jack of all trades. Like it goes with most things. But there's always an option over. I'm pretty kind of vanilla on this front, but like the barbecue sauce is super chill, right? So we'll have to see if Ketchup King and if old Dead Boy is going to make her way in, as Kiana and Tristana are going to get banned away here into the first stage of the ban phase.
Certainly will be. We saw a little bit of a play on Kiana yesterday, and it looked really good. It had like a 6-1 scoreline, but the impact wasn't really there. Like, it was a bit of a surprise that it got as many kills, but it was really just sort of cleanup duty for the Kiana yesterday. But still, it is an incredibly strong pick, and even if you have to write down the ability names, it's not going to be in this one, so don't worry about finding that piece of paper from yesterday.
Oh, yeah, no, that's what I was looking around the floor for. I was like, I wrote the ability names down. They're on the floor somewhere. Now, Akali, Aurelia, and Kiana all going to get banned away. You see the Tristana, the Karthus banned away. I mean, like, straight up giving over Akali or Aurelia to MnM is just a terrible idea. So, kind of makes sense to do that. Sonda's going to have the Azir taken away from him, and now Nvision, they get first pick. What's been left open? What are we looking towards here?
Relia's played Aatrox a couple of times, but well, there we go. That's the answer. But Aatrox is still very strong, even despite the fact, like, the knee-jerk reaction that people have had to losing the revive. The self-healing is so powerful, and it's a champion that a lot of players have had a lot of really good games on in either the top or the mid lane. So it could be something that MnM could add to their roster now to focus against the Corki of Nvision.
And that's right, that is going to be the Cassiopeia lock-in. Last time we saw MnM play it, it was Yusa playing at bot lane, so there is potential for them to run that, and now MnM, they're going to kind of pick up their next thing. That Aatrox that you were talking about as well could be a potential pick, because we think about, like, Only Angels return to competitive in the UK. It was the Aatrox he debuted himself back onto the scene on and proved that actually he looks quite comfortable on that. Nulty,
this is BM.
He's kind of cool and Scoot out right now. And he's not going to go for it. That's going to be the use of, the Yuumi for Shogun. But it basically is the Yuumi for Yusa as well.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of just combines into one champion. So it is going to provide a lot of safety and a lot of poke.
Yeah.
But it can be shut down by hyper-aggression, who instant snappy engages. And we've seen Proper Panda picking this Leona twice now.
Yeah. I actually would like it, because especially if that is like the Cassiopeia and the Yuumi bot lane, they do have the ability to run you down real hard. But if you find that Zenith Blade, lock the Cassiopeia down real quick, you will melt through the Yuumi once that Cassiopeia is dead. But this is what we were talking about in the kind of the pre-show, when we were having a little bit of sit in the kitchen, having some lunch, and talking about why mages are making such a kind of like a show in the meta at the moment, especially the things like Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia is capable of just putting out so much damage early, and now you're running the Ezreal and Leona. Like, are they going to match the extended trade
particularly
in these
with
early
Yumi
stages?
as well, who's just constantly pumping out heals, popping in and out of the Cassiopeia, auto-attacking, getting shields, landing Q-poke, or could it be the Lucian, or could that be a mid lane, or even top lane Lucian?
Oh lord, yeah, it could actually.
Lucian's a flexi boy as well.
Have to see what they're going to take away here as the Yorick gets banned away from Borrelia. I am really excited by this MnM draft, actually, because I think there's a lot of flexibility they can use. Like, I would love to see a mid lane use there. Not mid lane use, sorry. Mid lane.
Cassio.
Lucian again. It's been a while since I've seen one. It would be nice because Yusa did kind of turbo in when he played the Cassiopeia, unfortunately, but maybe versus Nvision he could kind of prove to us actually he's not just an int machine on that. The Rek'Sai, the Olaf, and the Sylas are going to be the next bans here as we now move into the last section of the pick phase, and we'll have to see what MnM decide to kind of round out their comp, where things are going to go, because we still don't actually know where everything is getting placed at the moment.
Yeah, most likely both teams are going to be looking for their top jungle duo here. And what I'm interested about this Lucian pick, if it is the mid lane Lucian, they banned away the Tristana, but it could potentially play out in a very similar fashion to what we saw yesterday with the Tristana into Corki, just constantly putting early aggression down and looking for solo kills and picks. It probably won't have the same amount of insane burst potential as the Tristana had, but it could still definitely pressure out the Corki before he gets to that 2-item spike.
Alrighty, well, that's going to be the stage one. He picked up pretty staple jungler, provides some engage, because at the moment MnM, outside like a flash petrifying gaze, are lacking the hard engage, and this will now supply that to them. Infinity's going to get his hands onto the Kha'Zix, so he's going for something very, very aggressive. See if he can make some plays happen on that first pick of the summer split so far for this Bugman. And now, rounding out the comp, they're looking for a top laner here. What do they just want to give to Borrelia? What has been open? I mean, his Garen is still open. Probably not. The Vladimir is the big one I'm watching, and the Aatrox. So Vlad and Aatrox are the two I'm kind of watching for here. I have to see whether or not he's going to go for that. And that's a flashback to Forge of Champions. He's going for the Dr. Mundo. First pick on this split, but he actually did qualify for the UK scene playing this champion.
That's wild, actually. Like, I'm interested by this MnM comp because they have like a mid lane carry in the Lucian and a later game carry into the Cassio, but the Mundo just innately takes less magic damage if the game does sort of extend that far. If Nvision can match or just survive the early game aggression from MnM, it's going to be difficult to actually shred through that. So they're picking up a very high damage top laner as well in the Aatrox, who can put some pressure on while the Mundo is weaker, similarly to the Lucian or potentially the Cassio mid lane into the Corki as well.
And I mean, Only Angel playing the Aatrox as well is the key thing here. This guy looks so good on this champion when he came back to the scene. And we'll have to see if it's going to be enough to match up versus Borrelia's Mundo, because obviously as the game gets later and later, it gets harder and harder to kill him. Now, I'm curious to see what Yusa's build on this Lucian's going to be, purely because he might go for the Blade of Ruin Cleaver build, so he can cut through the tank, but we have seen the likes of like the Essence Reaver, more kind of crit-focused, late-game scaling Lucian as well. So there is a little bit of flexibility to what Yusa's going to try and look to build up here. Obviously, they do have the ability with the Cassiopeia to kind of cut through tanks as well, because you've got a lot of consistent damage with the Twin Fangs. You got the poison, the dot damage from the Leandries, and you do slowly burn through these tanks. I say slowly. You fastly burn through these tanks, actually.
Yeah, one point that I did see Orcs in the Twitch chat bring up is blind picking the Mundo when Kled was up and available with the new addition to his Bear Trap on a Rope with the massive healing reduction. That could have potentially been a dangerous pick, but Only Angel, he falls back to his comfort on the Aatrox.
I'm actually kind of sad when I see Kled. I love Kled.
Yeah.
Kled is like a really fun champion to watch. I'm terrible at him. Top lane is my weakest lane, so I don't play him, but like watching a good Kled is so fun. I feel that maybe MnM and Only Angel went, okay, we haven't been practicing on the Kled. It's been a while since it's been picked up. We know Only Angel was playing back when Kled was meta, but this Aatrox has been something he's looked dominant on. It's still a power pick. It's still capable of offering a lot to team fights. And the key thing is new Aatrox, while he doesn't have the revive, every time he gets a kill and the refresh on the ulti and the amount of life steal and the sustain he gets from that ulti, he's a team fighting monster. And Only Angel, as a player, is also a team fighting monster. So the two kind of coincide really well together. So it matches his playstyle. And I think it also matches MnM's playstyle.
Yeah, and fortunately enough for him, he's up against a champion which isn't going to put too much pressure in the early stages of the game in the Mundo. We could potentially just see Nolty sit in this top lane, similarly to how Taxa sat in the bot lane last game, and just try and get Only Angel as far ahead as he possibly can, so he can turn into that team fight monster. But I want to see where Infinity's going, because They're called for the 5-man invade at level 1, and he's on the Kazakhs.
Well, they're just going for the cheeky invade. The key thing I want to note is look at what that first Drake was. It's going to be the Infernal, so I reckon it's going to be a pretty hotly contested objective. And when you got the likes of a Kazakhs versus a Sejuani in the 1v1, Sejuani's always going to lose that to Infinity.
He sure is. The other thing that actually interests me about this Kazakhs pick is I was wondering how are they going to play this bot lane, because they have a heavy engaged support of Leona who doesn't deal particularly well with poke up against a... Oh, hold on. Never mind. They scouted out with the Q. Could have potentially been something going on there. It will just be actually a decent trade, a couple of 100 health off of Spark. But just to go back to the original point, is like the Leona is looking to engage, whereas Ezreal is looking to scale and farm passively with his Qs, get some Kleptomancy procs, stack up the tier of the Goddess. Like, how does the synergy work here? But if Infinity is able to find a route towards the bot lane, that's a lot of damage that you've got in your jungler. Combine that with the lockdown of the Leona against a relatively squishy champion of the Lucian, and if you can get rid of him, you've got the Yuumi too.
Proper Panda jumps in early. Yusuf just goes for a massive trade onto him.
Oh, man.
We'll force him low. Not low enough as the Prowling Projectile. We'll just find a bit more poker. And MnM already in this early phase have managed to pull themselves a good win in the bot lane, getting themselves a favorable trade. The key thing to kind of note about this is yesterday and for the whole split, we've been talking about how Shogun and Yusa have been a relatively underwhelming lane. That's a level 1 trade that they come out on top of versus Nvision's bot lane. On a champion that we know that Proper Panda's been performing on. He's 2-0 on this champion, the only person to play Leona. And he's been looking very, very good on it.
Yeah, this is kind of what I was expecting if they did decide to go for those level 1 plays with the Leona in combination with the Ezreal. It just can't really follow up as well as something like the Lucian could do, who can dash forward and play aggressively. But Infinity could definitely be that edge that they need. Should he be able to skirt around the edge of this ward? If Proper Panda decides to go for the engage now, it could be dangerous for MnM.
Yeah, that Zenith Blade onto Shogun is actually a real threat when he's disconnected from Yusa. Because without Yusa, Shogun's fairly easy to kill. Remember, he's flashless, he's got a heal and an ignite, so he doesn't just combat summoners as well. He does have to play fairly safe, because Yusa is, for the most part, his escape tool, his mobility, the only way that they actually get out of these fights. So you do need to be a little careful when you unattach as the Yuumi into this Leona. But then again, you are into an early game Ezreal. Ezreal, yeah, he's got poke early and a bit of damage there, but it's not going to be quite the kill threat of like the likes of a Lucian.
Yeah, and I think they've MnM bot lane were kind of playing around the fact that they understand that Infinity will likely be looking to try and snowball early game around the bot lane where they have the engage potential. So they've played relatively passively, and now Infinity's moved his way towards the top side of the map to clear out that bit of his jungle. Only Angel, he's already shoved in. He's taken away Scuttle Crabs, he's getting vision on the top side of the map, and now Infinity can't really do anything up here either.
Yeah, Infinity's been a bit of a quieter start, but I mean, like, it's been a while since I've seen a Kha'Zix, so when are we kind of expecting the Kha'Zix to, like, hard spike? What is the key thing for us on that front?
I mean, Kha'Zix, as soon as he starts getting his evolutions at level 6, it's gonna be that kind of point where we're gonna see him actually start popping people if you can find them in isolated positions. Particularly, we're gonna be looking towards the mid lane as maybe a potential focus point, because Corki into this Cassio matchup, not relatively easy. As you can see, as Sonda takes like a huge chunk of damage there. Chibs, two Twin Fangs just absolutely melts him.
And a poison. He's taking a lot of damage there early from Chibs. Chibs obviously does have the mana problem that Cassiopeia has. If you're a machine gun mage, you do spam a lot of spells. As Infinity, bit of a gentleman's agreement. I'll take the little chickens, you take the big ones.
This is what I was kind of hoping to see a little more of in the previous game from Enclave, is shoving in your lanes and grouping up with your jungler. Proper Panda, again, he goes for the engage, but what can Spark do? Realistically, what could any champion do when there's a wave that size at your tower? But especially the Ezreal, who's all skill shot based, he just can't follow up and deal damage onto Yusa, and Proper Panda takes a huge chunk of damage on the way out from the Yuumi.
And we just saw top lane Borrelia just get absolutely smashed by Only Angel. Remember, Only Angel's running this Conqueror as well, so he's going to do pretty good at taking him down. One of the key things that actually we didn't note on in the Champ Select is about the changes to Leona and her W. The W now reduces the flat damage, so it's actually quite strong into dot damage, i.e. Cassiopeia, who uses a lot of poisons. So Actually, it's a fairly smart pick into that as well, while it's also a comfort pick. I feel like that's not the reason they picked it. I feel they picked it because it provides solid hard engage, which otherwise Nvision would be lacking if they didn't have.
It would also kind of play a little bit into it against the Lucian as well, with the double taps and potentially even the culling. Just individual chunks of damage is going to reduce that a little bit more than it would have previously done, but I mean, that's not necessarily what the problem is right now. It's just he can't get a position to actually get an engage, and even when he can, there's nothing that can follow it up because Infinity has been scouted out so heavily. Look at all the wards on the bot side already for MnM, how deep they've been able to place them and force Infinity out of his own jungle. And he's behind the Sejuani in terms of CS, in terms of levels, because only Angel's been stealing from him, Nolty's been taking from him, and Chibs has been there to back it all up.
Yeah, Chibs has had a lot of shove here. He gets himself a good miasma. Bit of trade onto Sonder, just chunks him a little bit low, but Chibs doesn't have any actual AP to speak of at the moment. He's just gone for the tier. It's pretty standard for Cassiopeia, to be fair. There's not a lot of mana. Well, it's the Sheen picked up for Sonder, so at the moment, these trades would be a little bit more comfortable for Sonder to take.
Yeah, and MnM have shoved in the bot lane. Nolty's already started off on the Drake, so they're just going to rotate over. Chib shoved in mid. There's no possible contest here for Nvision. It's a completely free pickup, and when you've got 3 scaling damage dealers that spike at different points in the game, getting this Infernal Drake as early as you possibly can is just going to get you that extra bit of value out of every single item that you're picking up. And especially when you're looking to already get the gold lead, it's just accelerating your advantage.
And especially when you saw what the next Drake was, it was that Infernal again. So double Infernal could be a real power spike here for MnM. Starts to put out some serious damage. Nolty's gone for a cheeky invade onto Infinity here. Feeling very confident. And again, just had kind of a pretty underactive performance by Infinity on this Kha'Zix. Yesterday, he was very, very proactive. But it's looking a little bit more like what we saw from last game. But Sonder now maybe looking to spot out Nolty. Phosphorus Bomb will spot out what he's up to. With the help of Infinity making his way over, this could be a little bit dangerous if he wants to stay around. Proper Panda jumps in for a bit of a trade onto Yusa, but the tail end of the trade is just so hard to play into. There's a lot of healing and there's just a lot of kind of burst damage available to MnM.
Yeah, I mean, you can lock him down for a couple of seconds, but Spark, he really just can't output the damage. He's in a similar situation to Chibs as just having the Tear of the Goddess in the backpack right now. But I mean, Ezreal with the 0 items deals so much less damage than a Cassio with 0 items, but Infinity is here. So if Proper Panda goes for the engage now, it could
Stealth's been used. Zenith Blade goes wide, and Infinity's first gank is wasted.
Even burned the ultimate for that attempt as well. Not level 6 on the Nvision bot lane, so they can't have that instant potential engage and at least force the flash out of Yusa. Again, the early jungles that we need to see aggression out of them just aren't able to find it.
Definitely been a rougher start here. As Only Angel just shoving in his wave. He's quite content with the state of the lane at the moment versus Borrelia. Borrelia did get low earlier, but hasn't seemed to be in a problem since then. Now he's got that Barmy Cinder. Got a bit more health to work with. Got some health regen to work with from the Rejuvenation bead.
Only Angel has just headed back to base and picked himself up the Executioner's Calling this early on. So by the time we start seeing that second Infernal Drake that we expect to see, pretty big team fight and a lot of contest around with the powerful ultimates that will be available on the side of Nvision, that front line of Borrelia will be so much less impactful, having all of his healing reduced by 40% in those fights already.
Only Angel goes in for a lane swap here with Yusa. You saw the pings go down. They want to get their attention onto that Rift Arrow, so they're going to start the shove in the bot lane. Look to play around there for the moment. And Only Angel, he's going to be matching up into Borrelia. Like you were saying, he's got the Executioner's Calling as well, so does have the kind of ability to cut through this healing.
This is actually a really good time for MnM to initiate the lane swap because they know their mid lane and their bot lane can't really be shoved in at all. They've just spent most of the game under the enemy team's turret, and it's exactly when the Rift Herald will be up and spawning. So even though there is 4 members of Nvision up on this side, to contest this is very, very difficult.
You can see the damage that Only Angel's able to do now. Spark, they're going to try and make his way over. It looks like a Fair few members of Nvision are coming about as well as Chips dodged out on the solar flare. Infinity looking to find his opening, but Shogun jumps in to make sure he's okay. Watch for the ultis. They're all available. The teleports are coming in, and now it's going to be a 4v4. Make that a 4v5. Only Angel joins up, and Borrelia, no teleport, unable to come and contest, and that just means MnM are quite happy to take this and step away.
That's 2 ultimates burned for the side of Nvision, as Infinity also popped his for the stealth for the approach as well. And again, it's just nothing comes from it.
They go for the 1v2 here versus Early Angel, and he goes, come on, bro, let's go.
Spark does have a Sheen now, so when he goes to follow up on the engages from Proper Panda, it will do slightly more than Tickle, but it's not going to be enough to burn through an Aatrox, especially this early on, but they do manage to get the ultimate out of it, which makes it a little bit easier should Infinity look to try and put some pressure on it.
That's the final chapter. Borrelia uses flash before the Culling's coming down. It's going to just about tickle him for the moment. The Prowling projectile slows him down, and Yusa finds first blood.
It looked like he was going to get out of that. He was taking no damage from the Culling at all. Already picking up the Chain Vest, but the health regeneration just wasn't quite enough. Didn't even have to burn the Ignite from Shogun as well, which they could have done to reduce the healing and get the kill a little earlier, but they keep it up and available for themselves. The final chapter is enough just to land the slows. Doesn't quite land the root, but look at how little damage he takes from that.
His health bar pretty much just stays the same really the whole time.
As soon as he gets hit by the Prowling projectile and Yusa finishes him off, but again, he burns his flash for it.
I actually want to highlight how well MnM have been playing the neutral objectives. They get themselves the tower, the Drake in the bot lane, then rotate to top side, put their powerful lane top lane to get the Rift Herald, and then rotate them straight back down for the next Infernal Drake. This is really, really well played by MnM. And they still need to get a bit more lane priority set up in the mid before they want to kind of hard contest for this Drake, but Proper Panda, that might just be the opening they need. He jumps in with the Zenith Blade, gets himself caught onto Yusa, Solar Flare connects onto 2, Infinity now jumps in, and he leaps back out. Shogun jumps onto his jungler to make sure he's alive, and Yusa is just going to try and pick up the kill, but Nolty's the one to get it. Shogun has to jump away. Borrelia is getting the slows down with the axes. That's going to be the true shot barrage, clipping absolutely nobody, and Chips gets himself the poison to get the speed buff. Gets himself the shrine as well, and Borrelia now needs to be careful because Chips is going to do a serious amount of damage to him. Nvision, they lose nobody, but they burn a lot from MnM.
Kind of a contest, I guess. It's enough to force MnM away from the objective, but they aren't able to take anything for it themselves, and they burn just about every ultimate. Borrelia's ultimate wasn't quite up and available, so he wasn't able to fully commit to the chase. But again, it's just the usage of summoner spells from the side of MnM. It's Nolty's flash. It's both summoner spells from Shogun. He came very close to dying, but Yuumi is just notoriously difficult to peg down. But on the other side of the map, Only Angel doesn't have a teleport, so it's a 4 versus 5 the entire time. He just takes down a tower for free.
And that's the key thing. Only Angel teleported to secure the Rift Herald for his team. Borrelia teleported to secure no one dying for his team. His Chips is actually just going 1v2 here. Those Twin Fangs doing a fair amount of damage to Proper Panda. Gets himself one more tick of the poison. That will be the Infernal Drake gifted over to MnM. And next Drake is going to be a Cloud. I thought it was turning into another Infernal, and I was like getting very hype. Very hype.
Yeah. It died down a little bit.
Chips.
Oh, hold on a second.
Infinity might just look for the kill here. The heals come out, and Chips is going to burn to the red buff. Infinity solos him mid.
Nice. That's what we needed to see about 7 minutes ago, but better late than never, as Infinity is finally starting to have some impact on the map, taking down Chibs, who has just been putting so much pressure out. He doesn't care who's been in his lane. He was trying to 1v2 against the Ezreal Leona for a good while, but we saw that change to the Leona W, taking reduced damage from every proc of Twin Fangs, from every single Q, and it just gave him that extra little bit of time where he had to take an extra step forward into the lane. So Infinity does have the opportunity to come in from the side and finish off the kill onto Chip.
If our observer could do me a wonderful favor and quickly toggle the vision for me, I want to just look at how bad Only Angel is smashing Borrelia at the moment. He managed to get 610 gold from that first turret blood, all solo with the plates, and now that's going to be the Valkyrie burn early. It looks like for the moment, we are just going to see a bit of attention come down. There you go. Thank you very much. Not as bad as I thought, but it is bad.
Could get potentially worse here as this tower looking to fall. No plates available on it.
There are no plates. There is no gold that's going to come down. And Solar Flare just about clips onto multiple members. Sonder jumps forward with the Valkyrie, but That solar flare hit, it could have been a very, very different scenario.
Yeah, it hit with the outer radius, so it got the slow onto Yusa, but he dashes away from it. And Nolty can't be slowed with his passive, so in the end, it didn't amount to anything. But was it really a team fight that you wanted to take at that point? They do still manage to hold on to that tower, but they were already backing away for MnM, so it was a potential. It was opportunistic at best. But really, I think it's probably for the best that Proper Panda didn't land that and hard commit, because it would have so easily been turned around with the amount of damage that they have on MnM with their one-item spikes already completed at this point in the game.
For the moment, Yusa's going towards the play the Ruin King build. I'm curious to see if it's the Essence Reaver or the Cleaver next. I'd like to see the Essence Reaver, give them some kind of... I mean, I say scaling, but then they have a Cassiopeia, so like it's not like scaling's really a problem as well.
Yeah, this is what
actually I don't feel there's a particularly.
They have the mid-game spike of the Lucian, where he's going to be probably one of the few AD carries in team fights where he can dish out good damage. And then you have the Aatrox and the Cassiopeia for the late game, who can deal with the Mundo and then have Aatrox diving into the back line. And this tower, they kept it alive.
Spark teleported in to get a Klepto stack, and watch his tower die. 5 gold
Worth
in your pocket.
Value.
As Brillia is doing what Brillia does best, ignoring his team and pushing lanes. Chibs has been the one to go send to deal with him.
Something to say about it, though.
I do feel like Chibs is one of the people at this point in the game who's going to really be able to deal with Brillia. He has no magic resist to speak of, and it's a machine gun mage. It's someone who's good at killing through these objectives. Spark, he gets caught out. Arcane shifts a bit too late. That's going to be the ulti coming down. The solar flare does connect, and Spark channels up the ulti to continue to take damage. Now Proper Panda gets caught out. The final chapter will lock him down, and MnM just find a double kill for Yusa.
That's the problem with Leona, is you have go-in buttons, but there's no go-out option, and goes in just a bit too late, tries to lock the opponent down as they're trying to collapse onto Spark, but he's already dead by that point, and Infinity off at the side. If he'd have jumped in as well, it would have just been a triple kill, so... It's over-aggression.
You might be in trouble, my dude. Crowning Projectile slows him down. It looks like for now they just want to try and push this turret and open up the map as much as possible. And that's exactly what they're going to do.
Vision were able to pick themselves up a tower in the bottom lane, but MnM will equalize in that lane and take a 3-1 advantage across the board. And again, we're seeing only Angel 0-0-0, but he's got a bounty on his head because he's been farming, he's been taking down tower plates. The Rift Herald did amount to eventually taking down the turret. It didn't get any plates from it, so they didn't actually make the full use of that objective, but still, it was enough to put down some pressure, and they have now taken down the mid tower and a couple of kills on the backside of it as well, as Spark and Proper Panda step a little bit too far forwards into unsafe territory.
And Chips is just 750 gold off that Leandris, which at which point makes Borrelia's life very hard when you have that health percent burn. You've got the poison ticking away. It's rough, man. It's real rough.
Gonna actually start transitioning into some magic resist very, very soon. If there we go, Spectre Scowl now picked up for the Mundo, so a little bit more potential to survive through the Cassio damage, but if he's going to be frontlining, he's going to get bursted down by the Lucian as well. Potentially the Aatrox if he's not able to find a flank or a teleport to get an angle onto the backline. It's going to be rough to try and survive it.
Gladra is going to get started up here by MnM. 5,000 gold lead is what separates both of these teams, and it just feels like Nvision don't have an answer anywhere. Proper Panda hasn't been able to find these kind of key engages. You've got Spark, whose damage is just not great at the moment. You've got the Corki, who's just got the Triforce. It's feeling rough, and Nvision, they kind of have to weather the storm and get some scaling onto this Corki, I think, if they want any kind of chance to win this game, or at least pull this game back. But you're also playing into a Cassiopeia who's very far ahead at the moment, and she will also be able to hard outscale.
Yeah, and part of the reason why Chibs is able to be almost at the 2-item breakpoint, whereas Sonder is still sat back at just finishing up the Triforce and the level 2 boots, is that Cassio doesn't need to buy the boots because of her inherent passive. So there you go, Leandri's already finished off with the Archangels. That's a 2-item spike. It's not even 20 minutes in the game. That's actually nuts.
Oh, as you can see on your screen, Baron has now spawned up. I wonder if MnM will go for it fairly soon. I mean, they've got the damage capabilities to do it with the Cassiopeia and the mid-game scaling Lucian. Relay's actually kind of zoning Only Angel out for the moment. Only Angel He's strong, but I do feel that he will struggle into Borrelia at the moment, as Borrelia has so many just resistances against him.
Yeah, especially now that he's got the Thorn Mail as well, so we can cut down on some of the Aatrox healing. He's probably not going to win if it's a 1v1 fight to the death, but he can at least discourage that aggression. Shogun, that is a big chunk of damage, but I mean, it's a Yuumi, so she just disappears onto the Sejuani, and they still feel safe enough, despite how squishy the support is and how much damage she's just taken, just to force their way into Nvision's jungle and clear out the wards, because they've tried to find a way in while MnM were taking the Rift Herald, and it was already difficult enough then, but now, as they've hit these item breakpoints, it's so much worse on Baron.
Brilliant, just takes a horrible, horrible trade versus Only Angel. The power of that Cleaver and the Conqueror. The MnM group up as this kind of 3-man death unit. Once again, Yusa, he jumps onto Proper Panda, actually gets her a lot of damage. Zenith Blade goes a little bit wide. That's going to be the ulti, not hitting onto anyone, but a great Solar Flare will pin down Yusa and Shogun for the moment, but the teleport's getting complete. The final chapter has done a lot. That's going to be the flash into the Cleaver. The slow's not quite enough, and now MnM might just look to turn it. The healing is massive from Shogun. Nongti's already half HP, and Nvision tried to pull the trigger, but it just wasn't enough.
For the second time, Borrelia teleports into a fight for the sole purpose of not letting his team die, whereas Only Angel just sits in the side lane, shoves in. He's not going to take a tower this time, but now he can just return back to that bot lane. He still has teleport up and available, so if his team does want to commit to the Baron and try and force a fight or just try and pick up the objective, then he can teleport in. They can get some of those deep wards that they've been placing so well and so consistently throughout this game. I mean, look at how many pink wards there are currently in the inventory of the MnM members. There's 2 on everyone apart from Chibs in the mid lane, who has yet to recall, so he can likely pick up another 2 for himself. There's so much vision control available now for MnM, and Only Angel could just sit in the bottom side of the map, shove in over and over again, and just back away because he knows there's no wards there, and just teleport up as soon as there is a commit towards the Baron, whether it's taking the objective or taking the fight.
I'll have to see if Nvision can actually move some vision up there to try and contest it, or if they're just going to have to be stuck in their lanes for the moment.
We're actually going to have to send Sunder down to the bottom lane to try and deal with Only Angel, because he's the one that has teleport up and available. And that takes away the whole impact that you were saying of Borrelia building specifically to counter Only Angel in the matchup.
You a Pokemon guy?
I have been. Not so much in the past few years.
Well, yeah, I mean, like the recent Pokemon game was kind of terrible. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Poliwag is my go-to.
That's a pretty solid Pokemon. You know what? I'll give that to you. That's a pretty solid Pokemon.
Yeah, I think it's underrated.
I'm a Cyndaquil guy. I love Cyndaquil. And all of the evolutions as well, like
I feel
Typhlosion,
like picking, when people say, what's your favorite Pokemon, picking starters, especially first gen, or Pikachu is just cheating.
Yeah, well, I didn't go first gen, because I played a lot of Pokemon Gold and Silver.
Yeah. I think I played Crystal was like my most played.
My most played was actually Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire.
I did play that
That's the only Pokemon game I've ever completed the Pokedex on as well.
Hot dog.
That was a good game. I had to cheat a Jirachi in, but I think you can forgive me on that because that was an event.
Like the whole Reggie thing, Reggie Ice, Reggie Steel, where you had to like dive underneath and have like a relic.
They were really interesting.
Like that stuff was nuts.
Man, I clocked so many hours. I think I've probably played more Pokemon Sapphire than I have League of Legends. Like, that's how much I played that game.
That's wild, actually.
Really has to just pop the ulti to get away. So it should be on a relatively low cooldown, so it should be okay. I'm curious what everyone else is talking about in the chat here. Right, yes! Pokemon Starfire Master Race, you're right.
Meanwhile, 2-man Baron.
Oh my lord.
Just disappearing.
What do you do? Like, what do you do? Cassiopeia.
Well, they've scouted it, and it's
too late. All right, guys, let me know in Twitch chat who you think is the best Pokemon. Potshot saying Psyduck. I saw an Eevee as well there from Snuggly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
RuneScape. That's my game.
See, I was a WoW kid and I couldn't play RuneScape.
Scyther's a good choice. Scyther is a really good choice.
Scyther's a sick choice.
Scyther's my choice if I'm feeling edgy, but if I'm feeling mellow, it's Poliwag.
Rayquaza's also a pretty sick one. Rayquaza was like actually probably my favorite legendary, so I'll give you that. God of War is actually one I don't agree with. It was cool catching our ults, because you had to spend ages catching them, but like...
Yeah, it's like you have potential. Like, that was such a bait where the dude's like, let me show you how to catch a Pokemon. And it's a routes that he gets, and you spend like 2 hours at least
5% spawn chance and a 5% chance MnM even able to die here as Nvision try to force out a fight, but now MnM use that culling onto Infinity. It's a lot of damage poked into, and the Paralytic Projectile also just poking them away, and the Baron buff and full siege here by MnM.
I get it. Poking them away. Good one. Good one, Jay.
It's always planned. Always planned. Straight up Squirtle with Shades. Squirtle with Shades was the coolest dude. I'm seeing a lot of Pokemon in the Twitch chat. I'm not even watching the game, I'm just reading what people are posting. Ampharos is also a really good shout. I love Ampharos.
Dude, the worst possible Pokemon.
I don't know how Sheep turns into
like,
Ampharos. Though.
Actually, Pokemon, if we really want to make people feel bad about themselves, just say Miltank.
Oh God, that bloody rollout. That rollout still to this day tilts me. That's how I don't tilt. So if you ever want to know how to tilt, like, and your team are hard inting, right? You just think about, at least it's not the Miltank. At least it's not rolling out on me.
The worst. You can't even get anything to counter it until after you've beat it. It's... Man, that game was unfair.
That was a good game.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic... I might go home and
do you think this game counts as unfair? I think Nvision have had chances and opportunities to get stuff going, but...
It's 27 minutes on the clock. They have members that want to scale in the likes of the Corki, and obviously the infinite tankiness that Mundo wants to become later. And MnM haven't actually been able to pull too much here, but they are trying to dodge away on the Solar Flare. Nolty gets caught out pretty low. The final chapter's going to use. We'll pin down 2 members, and Shogun is able to jump away. Nvision, every time they look for these engages, just get hard denied. And meanwhile, in the top lane, Only Angel's just taking turrets. He's still using this Baron so effectively. That's an open inhibitor, and Only Angel's just going to start working away at it here.
Yeah, but I mean, Corki does want to scale, but in contrast to the Corki last game, it's 27 minutes. He's not even got an Infinity Edge yet, and he might just die here too.
Well, Infinity's looking to jump to Only Angel, who pops the ulti for the movement speed. That's the mid lane inhibitor turret now down. And the Angel just walks back towards the inhib. What do you do?
I mean, you can't deal with it at all. He's got his Black Cleaver, he's got the Death Stance. He's just absolutely smashing, and it's actually so insane that Aatrox made it all the way through to a last pick, and it's just performing this well. He's above 10 CS per minute. He's still 0-0-0, but he's 450 gold bounty. He has so much gold that he just made by not getting involved in the team fights, just pushing down towers, taking minions, and it's ended up with 9 towers to 1 for MnM.
I mean, he's closing in on a Flame Horizon.
It's getting there. It's probably not going to be long.
He's very close. Can see that. Thank you very much for toggling the vision. 4,000 gold. Am I right? Yeah, I am. 4,000 gold.
A large portion, actually, of the overall gold lead, which is sitting at about 11,000. So a third of the team's entire gold lead is coming from the top lane. The bot lane is probably a very large portion of it as well, with your 3-item Lucian now, with the Blade of the Ruined King and the crit. So he's got the best of both, so he can scale into the mid to late game and be able to shred through this Mundo relatively effectively. I would maybe like to see another source of grievous wounds, though, in addition to the Executioner's Calling, because if Only Angel isn't getting involved in these fights like he hasn't been doing throughout the game, you will need another source to cut down onto the healing from Mundo outside of Shogun's Ignite, because he might not have that available every single time.
MnM are just grouping up here in the mid lane. They want to try and crack a few more inhibitors. They want to wait for Only Angel to escort this wave down. As you can see, they step back. They don't want to go in too deep until they have a point of pressure. While we wait for that, I want to ask you one more question about Pokemon. Then I'll be done with it, I promise. If Orcs was a Pokemon, which Pokemon would he be?
Kangaskhan.
Kangaskhan?
Because I'm a color caster, right? And he's brought me here. He's put me in his pouch. He's protecting me. I feel snuggly and safe and warm.
Originally, Kangaskhan was going to be the third evolution of Cubone. As we have an invade, and they're just going to walk away. Proper Panda misses out on the Zenith Blade, misses out on the Solar Flare. Infinity gets slowed down, pops the ulti to try and jump away, and Vision Now looking to try and make this fight happen. That's going to be a redemption to heal them up, and Infinity gets a slow. Jump to air, so a lot of damage coming in. The Flash Zenith Blade's there. A massive petrifying gaze by Chips. It's enough to secure 2 kills for him. A double kill has been picked up. Use has got another one as well. They lock down Borrelia, but MnM, this will be the base, and this will be the game.
Only Angel's doing his Borrelia impression. It's 14 minutes late, but he's hitting the Nexus towers solo while the rest of his team is just winning the fight in the mid lane. Absolutely burning through every single one on the bot side of the map for Nvision. Borrelia survives. He's a tanky boy, but it's not going to be enough to stop them ending the game.
It was a slow burn there by MnM, but they were able to get themselves a win. Man, that must have been painful to play if you're Nvision, because it was just, you were bleeding out, but there was no answer. There was no openings. That you could see they were itching to make these fights happen. And every time they engaged, MnM just stepped away. They went, no, we will fight on our terms. And when they fought on their terms, they got that big team fight victory. They opened up the game and they just took it from there.
Super clean from MnM. Like, this is a team that we have criticized in the past for being over aggressive, and particularly Nolte has had times in the past, like, we'll call him out, where like he's dived in too far and he's been punished for it. But this time, everyone was completely on the ball, backing away as soon as there was even a potential of an engage while they're taking an objective, knocking down towers. The solar flare comes out, everyone's immediately backing away, and then they return to it to take the objective when the cooldowns are gone.
Fantastic game coming out there from MnM as they pick themselves up a win and another spot in the finals. It'll be MnM versus XL. Seen this one multiple times. Every week has been pretty much the same, but we're going to cut to a quick break, and when we're back, it'll be XL versus MnM in our finals. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a second.